The following podcast may be explicit. One Joe Young presents Adventures from the Shed, a tabletop RPG podcast. You can find us online at adventuresfromtheshed.com. Noctra, Tielen, and Calvin are led further into our campaign by JJ, our DM. Listen in as Kurt gives us a recap of the previous episode and our party wakes up in the gypsy camp after getting their reading from Madame Eva. Enjoy the podcast.
Hi, and welcome to The Shed for Adventures from the Shed. You can find us online at adventuresfromtheshed.com, on iTunes, Facebook, Twitter, Stitcher Radio, Google+, Bing, all over the place. Definitely, if you like us on iTunes, leave us a good rating. It helps other people find us. We are going to be continuing our Curse of Strahd campaign, and we're going to go around the table saying hi, starting with...
Hi, everyone. This is Mickie. I play Noctra in this particular campaign, the human paladin. Go on there.
Excellent. Hey, this is Kurt. I am playing Tielen. He is a half-elf, wild mage sorcerer. Tends to be a little crazy. You might think of him as being chaotic good.
A little crazy, chaotic good. I'm Joe. I am playing the human cleric Calvin. I will mention, before we get to our DM, we did go to level 5 before we started this session. It's not monumental, I think, for myself or Kurt. For our characters, we're kind of taking level 1 and 2 spells, casting them at higher levels. Mickie, was there anything special about you going to level 5?
Yes. Aside from getting an extra 10 hit points, Noctra picked up extra spell slots, which I learned as a paladin she can now do. So I'm going to try that out.
And then we go to...
the DM. I am JJ. And we are running this game called The Curse of Strahd inside the D&D 5th edition rule set.
Heck yeah.
And as when we last left off, the characters had found their way to the Bistani tent outside of the Sayre pool. And I'm going to ask Kurt to do a little recap for us.
Absolutely. So the last session, we spent our entire time at what we might have called the Gypsy Camp, but it's the Bistani Camp. And after talking to some of the folks there, we eventually were brought to Madame Eva, or Madame Eva, who was a kind of mysterious woman who knew a lot more about us than anyone we had never met should know. She clearly knew our backgrounds and where we had been and what we were like. And after an invitation from her, we ended up sitting down to a mysterious card reading. And she drew out a Taroka deck and started to turn cards to tell us essentially of our future.
Now, I think each of us were drawing cards to contribute to it, right?
Yes. Each of you is drawing your card specific to you.
Okay.
Right. And so I'm not going to reread all of the prophecies, if you will, but there were kind of 5 main points, and we wanted to just summarize them very briefly. The first card told us of history and told us that the knowledge of an ancient would help us better understand our enemy. And then there was a reference to a garden dusted with snow watched by a scarecrow. The second card told of a powerful force for good and protection, a holy symbol. And she said that she saw a fallen house guarded by a great stone dragon. And again, these are summaries, so there are other points in there. The third one was a card of power and strength, talking about vengeance and the power, a sword of sunlight. She saw a lonely mill on a precipice. The fourth card shed light on who would help us in our battle against darkness and said that our greatest ally would be a wizard. His mind would be broken, but his spells would be strong. And finally, she told us that, or the fifth card told us that our enemy is a creature of darkness with powers beyond mortality. The card told us she said she saw a vision that told us to look to great heights, that we should find the beating heart of the castle, for he waits nearby.
And that one kind of spooks me out, the whole castle and the beating heart thing.
Yeah.
A bit Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah. We can go get the telltale heart.
We've had zombies, we've had vampire spawn, we've had a hag with a child in a bag, so we're pretty creepy so far.
And I think I remember we thought about the wizard prophecy piece, where when we were in town they mentioned a wizard, whatever it was, a year or 2 years ago, came in, tried to wipe the bad guy off the map and failed horribly. Ended up taking some of the people from Barovia to fight with him, and I think that was part of what made the preacher's son. I can't remember what was he. Was he?
He's a vampire spawn.
Yeah, but the guy who was in charge of priest.
The priest.
Yeah.
The priest's son, he turned into a vampire spawn. So I'm thinking that wizard has something to do with that. But it's kind of neat. We've got all of these different clues we would follow. I think when we last left off, we said we'd be resting for the night, so we treated that as we got all our hit points back, and we're doing the level up piece.
I will just mention, I did decide to take a 3rd level spell, so I took Fireball.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because that's too good to pass up.
It is. I wish I could get Fireball, because that would go really well with Paylor.
It would.
He would cast a Fireball at the bad guys.
It would.
Yeah. So the next morning...
Yeah, the night passes fairly uneventfully. The Vistani, they're all about celebrating life. This is a very dreary land, so they like to celebrate life as best as possible. And so much merriment is had. There's dancing throughout the night. Spirits and drinking is consumed, mostly wine. There's very little of any other type of alcohol. And the only type the alcohol that does comes in from outside of Barovia. Wine is the only alcohol manufactured here in Barovia.
And I think we learned in the last couple of episodes it's not particularly good in Barovia.
It is not.
Yeah.
There are better versions, but they're much more rare.
Okay. I would Calvin definitely would have used thaumaturgy and light and maybe even sacred flame to help with the festivities of life. And Paylor's about light and life, so definitely. I would have probably would have woken up with a hangover after celebrating with people who enjoy life.
And most of the Vistani would have been fairly standoffish when you first entered the camp. But after you emerge from Madame Eva's tent and she seems to be happy and pleased with you, you see that the rest of the Vistani, which is a very matriarchal clan, they tend to take her lead. So they began to welcome you into their enfold, into their enclosure.
Cool.
So you are welcome guests now, whereas before you were interlopers.
So let me tell you about Paylor. He's a great guy.
Here we go. There goes Calvin. So
let's talk about what the gypsy said last night to Madame Eva.
that's a good idea. Do you think maybe any of the folks here would have an idea of what these mean?
I hope so. They all work with her. Is she sleeping during the day? Maybe we should go ask her. Maybe she wants to hear about Paylor today.
I don't think so. Is there someone that looks like maybe the lead of the caravan?
There's definitely a lead navigator, so to speak. And there's a gentleman coming in into the camp riding a horse. The horse is very sweaty. It looks like he's come from a little bit of a distance.
Okay. My good friend, have you heard of Paylor? And what can you tell us about the prophecies of Eva?
The Madam read you your fortune.
Of course. Our illustrious sorcerer has some of the information on paper, which I do not have to recount so easily. Go, Paylor.
Oh, so you're
I say that, but Kurt handed it back to JJ.
Well, he's
Yes,
doing
we
that.
had a long session with Madam, and she told us...
Does that sound good?
a long session with the Madam, but she told us of a number of places that it sounds like we may need to go. We're trying to find, a lonely mill on a precipice, or a fallen house guarded by a great stone dragon. Perhaps a garden dusted with snow where there would be a scarecrow
Now
and a guardian.
The mention of the mill mentions, I think, a weapon of light, right?
Yes, that is where...
and I feel Paylor calling me to
a sword of sunlight. The
Just
treasure lies within.
hearing the information from the Madam made me think this is a sign from Paylor. And we all know what a sign from Paylor means, right?
Run the other way.
The mill that definitely sounds like the old Gustav mill. It's about 3 hills over if you go toward the west.
I love measuring by landmarks. That's awesome.
So 3 hills to the west. How long would it take us to hike there, do you think?
To go by foot, probably about 5 hours.
So I'd like to take this opportunity to mention again that we're using Roll20. We have a map in front of us on a TV in the middle of our table in the shed here. I think, JJ, if I remember right, we were at Lake Zarevich at the camp here.
You are currently right here at G.
G. Oh, we're way down there.
We're by the pool.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. So then I had that wrong. And then if we're talking about moving west from there, then we have... Would this be along the road? So we're by, what, Sayre Pool?
Yeah, Sayre Pool, yep.
All right. So if we're moving west along the road, is this the dotted road on our map where G is, right? So we would be going towards...
Oh.
Okay. So kind of northwest-ish, but yeah, hills, what have you. Okay, I see it now.
While they're talking, Noctra is like stroking the horse, playing with the horse.
The horse seems to be a little bit skittish, but
sweaty.
then again, it's also Barovia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then he goes, and then, so the house, but the stone dragon, that has to be Argenvostholst.
What is that? Where is that?
There was, when Strahd first came to this land, there was a paladin order that was headed by a great silver dragon whose name was Argenvost. And he created this order and created a fort that when Strahd first turned vampire, he attacked Strahd to try to remove him, but Strahd prevailed.
You say when Strahd first turned vampire. Can you tell us more of this Strahd?
I mean,
we hear only that he is evil.
Well, I think part of what we have learned so far is he is the tyranny that is threatening this entire land.
Right. But I'd like to know more
Go
about
Baylor.
him. Let's see. Where does his strength come from? How did he become a vampire? What do we know of his past?
no one knows exactly why or how he turned into a vampire.
I can tell you it was not Pelor. Pelor would not do that.
Pelor would probably, the Morning Lord would definitely not have done that to
No,
him.
he would not.
Maybe we should send Pelor's buddy here off to get this sword by himself, and we should go somewhere else.
I'll be back in a few minutes. Go, Pelor.
But Strahd, he comes from a royal bloodline. He died centuries ago, and he now lives on as one of the undead, feasting on the blood of the living.
An abomination.
That sounds like a bad thing. Perhaps if we bring the light
Ravenloft,
of Pelor,
his castle, is actually named for his mother.
For his mother?
Yeah, his Queen Ravenovia.
I'm sorry, Ravenloft. Hey, don't you follow the Raven Queen? Is this
Different
the place you should hang out?
Different queen
Because
altogether.
Pelor wouldn't go there. Perhaps
Calvin.
you should go there. I'll go find the sword like
You're
you
go
said.
find the sword, like you say. I think someone needs to stick by you to keep you out of trouble, Calvin.
Pelor sticks with me all the time.
Yeah, but for protection from the things on this planet.
Yes, well, it is written in the scrolls of the sun, if you keep Pelor with you, everything will be bright.
Yeah, that Pelor's the one who saved you the last time we got into trouble, right, Calvin?
Yes, through you and our friend Tielen, of course.
Of course.
Is there any? If we were to head west to this the mill, is there anything in particular that you know of that we should be aware of on the way?
I mean, you will be venturing into the true wild of Barovia.
Bless you.
Once you pass through the gates, you are truly on your own.
Ah, when you say gates, we passed through a gate already. Is there another one?
Yes, that is the gate to enter Barovia, and then once you pass through the other set of Barovian gates, you are still within the land, the cursed land of Strahd, but you are outside of Barovia. Within these gates, it is relatively safe. Outside, it's...
This is safe.
Yes. Pelor is my co-pilot.
Is he going to take the wheel?
Pelor, be my pilot. Show me the way. We shall proceed, I think, to the west, my friends. Pelor will ride with us, or
So-
walk with us, perhaps.
So we're going to the mill?
There is a calling of this light, this weapon of light that I must heed.
What do you think, Tielen?
I think there are several places that we need to go, and if it makes him happy to go do this one first, there's no reason not to.
Okay.
I think overall you both realize there's no choice in this.
Well, there's a choice.
Go, Paylor.
There's always a choice.
There's always a choice. Noctra turns to the guy and says, "Hey, what do you call a pony with a sore throat?"
I do not know.
A little horse. Oh! And walks away.
See, Paylor brings his light through her humor.
And walks away.
Great.
Moving on.
It's perfect.
I don't even know what to say after that.
And the whole time she was there stroking his sweaty horse, and then she comes out with a pony joke. That's awesome.
All right. So the road away from the encampment follows the river.
As a matter of just, for me, as of role play and tidying up, I would make sure that they have my little scrolls of Paylor.
Of course.
And anything that they would offer us for our ride, special, I'm going to keep saying gypsy because I can't remember the other word.
Vistani.
The Vistani. Any special Vistani snacks or foods that they would normally prepare that we could bring along?
They would have sold you some jerky.
Okay.
And a little
Sweaty
bit of wine.
horse jerky.
But they're reluctant. You notice a reluctance to actually actively assist you.
Okay. Once they learn about Paylor, they'll be more happy to shed their light on others.
Of course. I think once we rid this land of these cursed undead creatures, then they'll probably be more apt to help us.
Possibly.
That is one of the few things you have in common with Paylor. Light isn't good for undead. Let's get rid of them, eh?
Sounds like a plan. Calvin, you take the lead.
Take the wheel. Let us proceed to the west.
Let's
then.
go.
So you guys
I
are
just put
walking on
myself
the
on.
south side of the Sarah River, of the Iblis River, sorry. And after an hour or two, you come across a bridge that crosses the river going toward the north. And on the other side of the river, Calvin, you see the hangman's gallows.
Okay, gallows. Okay.
There's the gallows, and there's 5 bodies hanging from it, and one of them looks exactly like Tielen.
I definitely do a double take. Look at Tielen. Look over at the gallows. Probably back and forth a couple of times. He's still there, right?
He's still
the
there.
real Tielen is right here. Well,
The real Tielen's right there,
please
but
stand
there's
up.
a
Please stand up.
Tielen doppelganger.
Hanging from a noose?
Regardless or irregardless, depending on how it works in Barovia, I would see the real Tielen here, but I would still rush to the doppelganger. And in my head, in his head, I would say that it is probably like his brother or somebody that I need to save quickly. The Paylor needs to help out. So without saying a word, Calvin, I had to remember my own character's name. Calvin will rush towards the gallows.
Okay. The gallows, it's very rickety. It doesn't look like it's been maintained very well. But you're able to climb the stairs to the gallows, and it is indeed, upon a closer inspection, it looks exactly like Tielen.
Is that the only...
Minus the fact that his face is all ballooned up from the suffocation.
Can we tell if it's actual flesh or is it an illusion?
I don't know.
Can I look closely and see if I can tell if it has any solidness to it?
As long as you're just looking at it, it appears to be completely, totally solid.
I would not hesitate. Calvin would not hesitate to step up and touch the body, feel how long has it been dead, immediate contact with
So
this
when you
being.
touch the body, it's incredibly rigid, and decomposition happens at a incredibly accelerated rate to the point where after a minute is nothing but bones, and it collapses to the ground below.
Is that body the only one that looks familiar?
It's the only one that looks familiar, yeah.
Do you have a brother that we don't know about, Tielen?
Not anymore.
Not funny, Calvin.
Sorry, I just had to.
No, I had an older sister, but I've never had a brother that I know of.
And the
So-
other 4 bodies, are they in the same state?
I don't know, roll a perception check.
Oh, I am not using this dice roll thingy.
Mickie has a little dice tower in front of her that she is currently not happy with.
9.
9? No, they all. It seems to be kosher.
I'm going to have
The
to
bodies
use
are
my
kosher.
divine sense. Divine sense.
All right. There doesn't appear to be any undead, demons, or fae in the area.
So, Tielen, how does this
Perceptions
affect
roll
you to
plus
have somebody that looks
wisdom
just like you?
plus proficiency bonus if it's a skill.
If it's a skill, yes.
So if I was looking, I would have a 16.
Okay.
Would I see anything different?
You would notice that on the gallows, on the overarching
Wait.
beam,
Hang on, sorry. I screwed that up. I would have a 13.
a 13.
14.
14. And what exactly are you looking for here?
I'm looking to see if the 4 remaining bodies look different in the sense of, like, if we touched. What I want to know is if I touched another one, would the same thing happen?
Probably not. These actually appear to be actual bodies of some transgressor or another. They are in various states of decomposition.
Does any of them look like they have been deceased within the last few minutes or hours?
No.
Okay.
The Tielen body definitely looked the freshest.
And did it decompose when we physically touched it?
Once you physically touched it, yes.
What did it feel like when we? Because you touched it, right, Mickie?
I did.
Calvin did.
What
Calvin
did it
did.
feel like?
It was very rigid, like it was
It
within
did-
rigor
It
mortis.
felt like a rock, like a body that has been dead for many days.
But with your 14, I do want to mention that there is a raven sitting on the top and peering and watching you guys inspect these bodies.
That is not normal.
When I see the raven, I'll look at the raven and point at Noctra.
Quote the raven, nevermore. Can I take a closer look at that raven?
Go for it.
I'm not going to use the dice rolly thing this time. See? I rolled better. There's
Yeah?
a 12 on the dice, plus my perception 16.
It just looks to be, it's very glossy. Looks like a very healthy raven. It's doing very well here in Barovia.
It's using fine conditioner and shampoo.
Exactly.
Now, I get
Can I try to talk to it?
from Calvin's perspective, as a matter of what I've seen so far, I'm thinking that this looks like, gallows usually has to do with law, but maybe this has something to do with somebody crossing somebody, like the Count, but why would he do this? Is there, I'm looking at that we've seen the priest already here. Is there anything religious involved here? Has there been a ceremony performed before hanging these people? Is there any special markings on the body?
Nothing like that, but looking around, you do discover that there is a list of transgressions that these criminals have done.
Okay,
So this was justice carried out.
And you notice there's only 4 names.
only 4. So I'll be reading through them. Things like pickpocketing. Paylor would forgive that if you accept him. Perhaps adultery. Paylor would forgive that if you accept him. And I'll just be mumbling down the list.
Could I try to catch the raven?
Are you going to try to jump up and swat at it?
Touch it, try to catch it.
Okay.
Roll a ludicrous check.
Roll a ludicrous
Roll
check.
me an athletics check.
Acrobatics.
At least dexterity, right?
Ludicrous speed. Go! There's a 19 on the dice.
Oh my! If that raven's catchable, I think.
That's 19 because I have no plus for dexterity.
No, athletics is strength.
Gonna go
Oh,
with
it's
athletics. Yeah.
strength.
Athletics is jumping.
That's a
It
good point.
is. Ooh, wow.
Oh,
7.
probably 7. Yeah.
Holy
26.
cow. 26.
All right, so you jump up, and it's
I
this is just
I can fly.
this is just a standing leap, like
Yeah.
Michael Jordan. Wah!
Yep.
And you go to reach for it, and it starts flapping its wings, trying to get away, and you manage to snag a foot on it, and it continues to flap its wings, and you hover for a second and
Oh
lose your
my.
grip, and it flies away.
It's strong enough to carry me.
But it's still just
For
a
a
regular looking raven.
This
There's
is to me.
more-
This is that moment where the big defensive tackle was actually able to almost catch an interception and
Yeah.
didn't quite get it.
Huh. There's more to that raven than meets the eye. Can we try to talk to it?
It's blown away now.
Damn it.
That's what happens when you jump on it.
I'd try to catch it
Wow.
first.
If you were Raven and some crazy chick tried to catch you, you'd run away, fly away too.
Not necessarily.
I would pray to Paylor that you have more dexterity next time, but that was one hell of a jump, Noctra. Well done.
I'll jump over you next time.
I had no idea you had a 3-foot vertical.
In full armor.
That was
Full
probably
probably-
that was an impressive feat.
Clanged as you landed.
Is there anything in the area?
Actually, because I described it being all rickety, she falls through the gallows.
Is there anything in the area where we are other than the gallows, or are these kind of standalone?
Everything. This gallows almost seems like it's out of place.
Right.
But it is as far from civilization as it could possibly be.
All right, is there anything that we're missing here?
Yeah, any like tracks leading to and from?
No,
mean,
like I said, these bodies are in extreme in states of decomposition that indicate that it's probably been a while.
Is there anything to
was
loot
been
on
here
their
last.
bodies?
What's that?
Anything to loot from their bodies?
Nothing of notice on the bodies. No.
they decided to hang them each with 10,000 gold pieces in their pocket.
Well, this is interesting and disturbing, but there's no monsters here,
Yeah.
and there's no windmill here. I think we should press on.
Now I know how batteries feel.
Oh, snap.
Not included in anything.
Oh. I think I would
Moving
get that,
on.
I would get that joke if it were a more modern day, I think, perhaps. Definitely would take and insist on taking the time to properly cut down the bodies and
bury
give them
them.
some last rites. Not necessarily bury them.
But you could use
Paylor's-
thaumaturgy to just
Yeah.
create a little scoop.
Well, Paylor's last rites can also involve just burning.
Burning.
Right. So a sacred
Cremation.
flame type of thing, a cremation. Right.
I would be totally for that
Yeah.
to prevent them from becoming zombies.
Oh yeah,
Fair enough.
I'd not even thought of that. Perhaps
That's why you keep me
yes.
around, Calvin.
I keep you around because sometimes Paylor's wisdom comes through you.
Well, at this point, Tielen is not particularly interested in this. He's seen Calvin do this before, so I'm just going to kind of step aside a little bit, and I've got a small black book that I'm not making a show of it, but I just take it out, open, just read for 30 seconds or 45 seconds, close it, put it away.
Have you done that before? Is this like a common occurrence that Tielen would do?
It is.
I think while we're trying to take care of these bodies, he's looking up another date.
It's probably looking in that book with all the nudie pictures I saw.
That could be.
Was
it.
actually swiping left.
It's it is a shame that so many pages are stuck together. Go Paylor.
Oh.
So yeah, finish up. Clear out the gallows, and they'll probably fall apart, or maybe even burn as part of the process.
Yeah.
But I would Calvin would definitely make sure that the area is purged of evil, not necessarily sanctified, but at least purged of any badness that happened, as far as the flame of Paylor can cure it. Before we move on,
All right.
still mystified as to why there was a double of Tielen on the gallows when it wasn't even listed in the, as I would call it, the death manifest.
Definitely a mystery.
It is
So
odd,
the road does
odd to look at
continue,
yourself hanging.
north, and then it starts to curve toward the west as you guys progress through here. And eventually, you guys arrive at the other set of gates.
According to the gypsies who go by another name,
Vistani.
those formerly known as gypsies, these gates gets us out of Barovia proper, but we will still be under the rule of this Strahd character.
We must keep even more vigilant.
Calvin would be very curious, because he still has it in his mind that those big gates that we came through originally that were completely silent should not have been completely silent. Are these gates completely
Yes.
silent? I see Calvin is going to spend probably minutes looking at every single hinge, wondering why there are no noises, maybe kick a rock under the edge, hoping that it would make crunchy noises as the gates move.
Okay.
It would definitely be a curiosity. I mean, after all, we're not in space. There should be some sound here. I don't know how I would know that.
The same way that Noctra would know about batteries.
The way I would know about batteries.
Yes.
Go Paylor.
I got it.
Yeah, you did.
And dirty magazines.
And dirty magazines, exactly. Hey, you're looking through that book of nudie drawings again. It's a shame you draw them all yourself in their stick figures. Literally. What did one stick figure say to the other? I just said that. I have no idea.
She looks at you like, I haven't heard that one.
I need to write that down. Paylor would not approve, but he said, stick it in me.
Oh, my goodness.
Go Paylor on the clean version of the joke, which there isn't one. I'm sorry, Noctra. Did you have a one-liner you wish to grace us with?
It's not even, worth it now.
Not anymore. The whole stick figure thing
You
made
ruined it.
So while you're looking at the hinges and stuff, you notice right at the bottom of the gate is a doll's head that appears to be staring directly at you.
Now that shit's creepy, yo. Like one of those where the doll's eyes move when you move type
The
of
whole
stare.
head moves.
Oh, snap.
So, something has been watching us as we go through here and is using a raven and now a doll's head to keep track of us.
The absent-minded reflexiveness of Calvin tapping his shield to set the light of Paylor on the shield again, and hold the shield up towards the doll's head, hoping maybe it disappears.
It doesn't. It just continues to follow your movements, and you specifically.
We need to set that doll on fire. Hey, Tielen, don't you have a new spell?
Yeah.
I do. I don't know that I want to use it for this doll, but I have something that might work.
I want to light it on fire.
I could use Firebolt, which is just a cantrip for me.
Throw it.
Before you do that, I'm curious to know what this thing may be before we cleanse it with Paylor's fire, which now works through you as well. I'm very pleased to know this. This is good. As reluctant as Calvin will be to approach it, he will.
Okay.
Because, Paylor's on his side and all.
Noctra's
And he will
gonna be
approach it from
on
behind
guard.
his shield. And remember, Calvin's just 100-pound guy wearing 200 pounds worth of armor and gear. And just kind of approaches from behind his shield, holding his hand axe out like he's ready to poke the thing with the piece of wood that runs through the hand axe. So what would happen if I
as
go
you
to poke
approach it, you notice that it doesn't really have a neck or anything, obviously. It's literally just a head. But as you approach it, it continues to swivel backwards so that it can continue to keep its eyes on your face.
The funny part is Joe's creeped out. Like, ew, the doll's head's following me.
On fire.
So poking again, holding the shield out in front of him, and then reaching forward with the hand axe and poking it.
Okay, so when you poke it, it's very resistant to change its focal point.
Huh.
You can turn it, and if you hit it hard enough, it'll turn and then slowly turn back to face you again.
Light it.
Okay.
Poke its eyeballs
Fire.
out.
Now, perhaps I will summon the sacred flame of Paylor to get rid of this evil thing.
Light it.
Yes.
On
yeah.
fire.
Should we do this together,
Right.
my friend?
Well, perhaps
Light
if the flame of Paylor does not work through me, you can join in.
Fire.
Very well.
Unless in metagaming terms, it is also a cantrip for you.
It is a cantrip. For me.
Okay, then let us cantrip together, shall we?
Paylor's
Yeah.
flame burns hottest when cast through two.
Yeah, awesome. Yes. It is from the scrolls of the sun that two joined in Paylor are stronger than one. And that rhymed, which was pretty cool too. So, as the chant goes with Paylor, and come along with me here, Tielen, light it on fire. Light it on fire. And then
Lights
poof.
Okay.
And then I say, I hope you die in the fire.
I was waiting for
And
that.
the head is destroyed. It is burnt to smithereens.
I was one moment away from emptying my bladder. This is good. It is dead.
This is getting to be a creepy day.
Yes.
Let's get going.
Go, Paylor.
All right.
I'll take a moment with my hand axe to write Paylor was here next to the scorched spot.
Nice.
Hey, Tielen, can February, March?
In February, March?
No, but April, May. And she walks away.
There should be the sound of mic drops throughout the episode.
She
That
just
would be
walks
pretty
away.
cool.
As Tielen just looks confused and stares at her.
Just looks down at my black clothes and thinks about the darkness of my soul, but can't help but half smile at Noctra.
Yes.
So you guys continue to march toward the west, and you begin to enter the woods. And within these woods, the overall feeling is that everything is watching you.
Oh, crap. There aren't trees that are going to throw apples at us, I hope.
Negative.
Hey,
Hey.
do you know how many apples grow on a tree?
I might if you lift your mic closer to your mouth.
All of them.
Oh, snap.
Moving on.
So
I
everything
can't
is
help
watching
it.
us.
Paylor's light is shining through your vocal cords. That is great.
Do we
Yeah.
notice anything
You
as I
don't.
look around and deliver that last one?
All right, so you're get to the edge of the woods, and you're about to enter back into the plains.
So we spend how long walking through these creepy woods?
It takes longer than what the Vistani told you. It takes you are now at hour 4 right here
Is it getting
on
dark?
the on the outside. And it's not getting dark just yet. We're approaching noon because remember,
Yeah.
light starts around 9,
So I
so
was
you're a little bit
thinking-
after noon.
From, I guess, kind of as a recap of how the days go here in Barovia, we woke up. Would it have been dark at our normal wake-up time?
Yeah, it would have been dark.
Right,
And
so-
light, you typically wake before light and go to bed after dark.
So then we would have gathered the information we did from the Vistani. I think I said that right.
Yep.
Hey.
Good job.
Damn gypsies. And gotten on our way along the road, and we've been walking for hours and hours. Does it
4
feel
hours
like
about.
longer or shorter, or is it...
It just feels like the road seems to stretch before you.
Okay. So like the nightmare hallway that keeps getting longer?
A little bit, yeah.
The when you look down the hallway? Okay.
But like I said, as you're exiting the woods after the gates, you come across a tree that is loaded with ravens. There's probably 15 to 20 ravens. And
Hey, I thought you said apples grow on trees. This one's growing ravens.
Apparently in Barovia, it's
and they're not
ravens.
squawking. They're just watching you pass.
These
Am
also
I
look
totally-
lustrous and healthy.
They all look incredibly healthy, yeah.
Look like they could lift a paladin.
Possibly.
Can I use another of my... one more slot of divine sense?
Sure.
Do I sense anything?
You don't sense anything evil, nor undead, fey, or what was the last one? Devil? Demon?
Was it?
Demon.
Celestial, fiend, or undead within 60 feet.
Fiend, yeah.
Celestial. Okay, not fey. Not fey. All right, yeah. Nothing celestial, undead, or demon.
So...
So nothing. I feel nothing here. Yet these ravens are unnatural. Can we try to talk to them? Hey, Calvin, don't you have something in your scroll bag? Maybe you could talk to the raven? Quote the
My
raven.
scroll bag is filled with
Nevermore.
scrolls of devotion to Paylor. I can read
When you
about Paylor
say
to them.
unnatural, one of them squawks and they all turn to look at it.
When I say...
When you said unnatural, these ravens are unnatural, one kind of squawk, like an indignant squawk, and they all turn to look at it, and it like cowered.
Because when I said unnatural, it got mad.
Maybe.
Interesting. Hey, you! Your mom
So,
was a snowblower.
I reach into my scroll sack of my inspirational Palor scrolls.
Okay.
And I take one out and I start reading to the ravens about Palor. There was a time when Palor was on the mountain and he was telling people about the great things that the light could bring
You
to
don't
them.
think that a raven can sigh, but one does and flies away and they all follow.
Good job, Calvin.
And I roll up the scroll. It's a habit. I roll the scroll back up, put it in the sack, and say, "Go, Palor."
Are they going in the direction that we're headed?
No, they're flying to the north.
Well, that was beneficial. Guess we keep going to the mill?
Yeah. And as they fly off into the distance, I say, "Tell your boss to worship Palor."
And you guys continue westward. And you come to a fork in the road. Excuse me. And you do see a mill up on the hill.
And this will be to the west.
It's only got 3 of its wind vanes.
Ah.
Can I take... I just noticed your name tag.
Yeah.
It says
I made
DM.
I made JJ a DM tag today.
Just ruined it for me. Can I take a look to see if there's anyone around, to see if this could be an ambush or anything?
Oh, yeah. You can go up perception check.
What you got?
Cannot tell.
It's
I think it was
it's a 22 on the die.
It was a total 22 on the die. I think it was a 7.
Okay.
I don't like that rolly thing. So that's an 11 perception.
Okay.
For those manufacturers out there who make dice towers, you might as well call them rolly things as well. Because that's what you
Well, when you buy it in the package, there's an asterisk, and at
Rolly
the
thing.
bottom it says rolly
Like
thing.
a footnote.
Absolutely.
While she's looking around, no big deal. I just do what you've seen me do it a million times. Just tap my staff on the ground, and I'm activating my mage armor.
Okay.
Does that have a look? This is like a shimmering or something.
It doesn't. It's tempting to give it a super cool look, but nope. It's just I have to give it one solid tap on the ground.
Okay.
It does the job.
Cool.
Other things will look cool, like chromatic orb.
That looked cool last couple
but not
times.
so much
yeah.
mage armor.
Okay.
All right.
I just start to look. I'm gonna
As soon
talk
as
over you.
JJ
I just start to look
talk.
a little bit broader and a little bit more manly than I might otherwise have looked.
Okay, so that is not at all then. Okay.
Hey, Tielen. She sees you kind of enact that magic again. Hey, Tielen, what kind of magic do cows like? Or what kind of magic do cows believe in?
Well,
Moo magic.
Moodoo.
Moodoo.
go Palor.
Oh, I wonder what Moodoo is. I do not know what Moodoo is.
The old Spalitz Road transitions here from being a winding path through the Balanock Mountains to a lazy trail that hugs the mountainside as it descends into a fog-filled valley. In the heart of the valley, you see a walled town near the shores of a great mountain lake, its waters dark and still. A branch in the road leads west to a promontory, atop which is perched a dilapidated stone windmill, its warped wooden vanes stripped bare.
So the mill is above a town?
I was
The
going to
town
say,
on
how
lake?
high up is it? Does it seem like it's 100 feet up? Or?
Oh yeah, it's a little bit of a trek to get up to the top of the hill, and the town that they're talking about is down here.
Would we have to go through the town or on the way up to the mill?
No, you guys are coming from here,
Right.
Yeah.
and then you just follow that road. Yeah.
So
JJ,
this is
could you
so sorry.
remind us-
So the mill is up in front of us, and the town is kind of beyond it.
Yeah, down over the hill.
Okay, gotcha.
Could you remind us again whose artwork we're using?
Mike Schley.
Okay. So this is somebody who had actually created the maps and
Correct.
artwork, some of the artwork, I guess, for the Curse of Strahd.
Yeah, this
campaign
artwork
setting.
all exists in the book, but this is a PDF version.
Blows
So
up, it
we
looks
are
nice.
using that.
Yep.
Great. So
Nice.
I think we just march forward.
We approach cautiously.
Yeah.
So we're looking for a sword of light.
We know that the treasure lies inside. That's what she told us.
right.
My memory does not serve me as well as the paper that Tielen has. However, I think there is
Hey, Tielen.
a weapon of light that is to be
A
found
weapon of light?
near a windmill of some type.
She had said that it was a card of power and strength. It tells of a weapon of vengeance, sword of light,
That-
a sword of sunlight. I see a
better.
lonely mill on a precipice. The treasure lies within.
So does this mill look like it's on a precipice?
It is definitely it's right on the edge of a cliff.
So not just on a hill, but a hill that ends in sheerness.
Exactly.
On the other side. Okay, even better.
That reminds me.
Oh crap! Put it closer.
What did the mountain climber name his son?
Cliff.
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 Yes.
Hey!
You're not even part of this group.
Whoa, what was that strange voice we just heard?
That was a
Did you
weird
hear that? I
voice.
This is
think
such a strange forest.
I think it was the voice of Paylor answering your joke. I think he said something like Cliff.
Cliff.
Does that sound right? Mm-hmm. Go, Paylor.
Well, if we don't see anything in particular, there's no reason not to keep marching towards the...
Agreed. Just go
Just
carefully.
be carefully.
All right.
My perception is not what it used to be.
I must grammar my way through your sentence. If we don't see something, there's no reason not to think. Okay. So we do it?
We do it.
Okay.
Just walk carefully, Calvin.
And I'm going to keep an eye behind us kind of more than... I'll take up the rear.
Turn
So
up.
you're approaching carefully.
Turn on your shield light.
Done. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So you're approaching carefully. The onion-domed edifice leans forward and to one side, as though trying to turn away from a stormy gray sky. You see great gray brick walls and dirt-covered windows on the upper floors. A decrepit wooden platform encircles the windmill above a flimsy doorway leading to the building's interior. Perched on a wooden beam above the door is a raven. It hops about and squawks at you, seemingly agitated.
Like, I lifted your ass like 2 miles ago. I ain't doing it again.
What's going on? Why are these ravens everywhere?
Oy. Perhaps you should pray to your goddess.
I
So, like,
Agreed.
it hops 3 times to the left and looks right at you and leans forward and squawks like angrily at you. And it hops 3 times to the right and looks at Tielen and leans forward and squawks angrily at you.
It's like you want some
Run
of
up
this.
if you want some.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a moment to meditate and pray to my queen to try to get some guidance on how to proceed on this with these ravens all about us. Insight. Okay. The DM has given me a code and I'm not picking it up.
You have a skill called Insight.
So, yeah.
This is how you infer what other things are doing to you.
And I will tell you, irregardless or regardless, again, depending on how it works
Hashtag body
in Barovia,
language.
Calvin,
Skills.
Calvin would also be trying
Above perception, below athletics.
It's alphabetical.
He's such an asshole. I will use insight to figure out what the fuck
There
is
you
going
go.
on.
I'm just trying to get you to get more into using your character sheet.
Well, God damn it.
Pardon me, but why are you cursing at the sky?
After a moment of silent meditation, the voice in my head got me really angry.
I can see Noctra, I don't know, maybe taking a knee, looking at the raven solemnly, and then after
And
a
I got
few
a natural
moments,
20.
looking up at the
Nice.
sky and saying, "What the fuck do you want me to do?"
She's like, after all those years I spent in Dungeon World, now I'm in Barovia and I don't know how to do anything.
Pretty much.
So like you're once you like are paying closer attention to you, it flies down to the ground beside you, and walks very slowly. Looks back at you, walks very slowly, and then like it flips up a stone real quick, and it jumps back, and it looks at you, and you get the sense that it's trying to warn you to be very careful when you go in here.
Got it, little dude.
Does it have a little name tag that says, "Hello, my name is Raven"?
No. And once you say that, it nods and flies away.
All right. Guys, we need to be very, very careful when we enter this windmill.
Well, gosh, I was just going to run in head first and try to die. But now, thank Paylord, we got this message from this freaking raven. Well done, Noctra.
Don't do what you normally do, Calvin.
You wasted a freaking 20 on that.
Apparently.
Be careful.
Be careful.
So with the raven doesn't give the same sense as like the doll that it's watching us. It's
No.
It's
It
Feels
was
different.
interesting.
I was going to say that when you mentioned the insight with Mickie, I was thinking Calvin would be trying to link these events together. I don't know if you want to roll out of that, but are these things related in some way? So
Give me an overall wisdom check.
So when we were in right from the beginning, so we met this person who didn't appear to be true. We met this, or we found the body of the courier. We went through the gates. So many things have happened. I think, to me, for Calvin, it's starting to feel like it's linked. There are things that are happening together, and probably not with a 11.
And I'm particularly, in the sense that someone is watching us that we would think is probably Strahd. And I guess I wanted to make sure I knew how I felt about these ravens. Like, do they feel like minions of Strahd or some evil power, or do they feel like some other thing trying to communicate with us?
Almost seems benevolent in
Exactly.
warning.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, I can tell you for certain they're not undead, they're not fiends, and they're not
And they're not
celestial.
angels.
Yeah. And although it's not relevant, we also know they're not Fae.
And we also know they're
Did
not
we get the
Fae.
same feeling from this raven as we would have gotten from the tree full of ravens?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Says something or someone is looking out for us.
So I
trying
would
to warn
assume with
us.
an 11, I gain no extra
No,
insight.
nothing.
Right?
See, I'd been thinking that tree was kind of full of evil stuff watching us, so now I want to be sure that I know how we're feeling.
Now, I can tell you that all of these things watching us is kind of creepy. And the idea of be careful, Baylor says in the second book of Brilliance, it is, as you walk with Baylor, be careful where you tread. Although the light is with you, you must still be cautious.
Do you ever feel like it's creepy that Paylor's always watching you?
No, Baylor watches in me, through me, and with me. In the union
he's
of the light.
always
Because
watching you.
that makes it so much better.
Always
Yes.
watching you.
It's like always having a friend to lean on.
Even
If
when
you
you're
want to be completely alone, let me tell you more about Baylor. Are you ready?
Is Paylor with you when you're drawing stick figures, sticking it in each other?
Yes, Baylor helps me draw them. I would not be so artistic if it was not for the light of Baylor guiding my artistic hand.
Maybe we should hook Paylor up with the Raven Queen and see what happens.
The Raven Queen would destroy Paylor.
That is true.
You cannot destroy light, my friend.
All right, so
Then
the
it's
raven
just
is
darkness.
still watching us, or
No,
Flew
it's
off. It
flown
flew
away.
off.
Flown away.
It's flown
All
away.
right.
Well, once it
It's-
said, don't step in dog dew, it flew off.
so are we?
Do you have any insight into any of these events, Tielen?
Oh.
Anything that you want to try to maybe string together?
Well, yeah, I might just.
He's
Give it
got a
back.
5% chance of knowing.
No, I don't really. I'm not able to string anything together based on my wonderful roll of a 5 with a 0 modifier.
You know, I rolled a 5 as well, so we're on the
So
same
hearing
boat.
you two kind of talk through it all.
Well, you were already there. You got the 20 insight from the Raven that said, well, watch your
out.
step.
Yeah, like overall, you haven't gotten a feeling of malice from the ravens, whereas the dollhead and the creep factor of the hanging dude, of the hanging Tielen, feels overtly malicious.
I must say, I was not inclined to burn the ravens like the doll head in the bodies. That was creepy. The ravens, they're ravens. I mean, and they said, watch out. So let's watch out as we proceed.
I
closer
think in
to the
Barovia
raven.
they can probably make a creepy raven, but
Yeah.
All
okay.
right, let's go in. Eyes open, people.
Oh, speaking of eyes open, go Baylor, tap the shield. The flames of the shield light brightly again.
All right.
And step forward towards whatever darkness may be in front of me to bring the light
Hello,
of
darkness.
Paylor.
And then I have to move our players over to a new map,
And I'm going to keep.
Hey,
or it won't do it for me.
gold roll
There it
20.
goes.
While he does that, I'm going to be keeping my eyes on the kind of the upper platform that wraps around over the door,
Yep.
just to make sure that nothing comes out as we come in. Or
That's a neat looking windmill, but it has all four of its little.
Does it have a nameplate on it that says Old Bone Grinder, or is
It
that
does.
just
Yes,
some
it
map?
does.
Okay.
Artist oversight. This windmill has all four of its veins.
but they're all
Interesting.
destroyed.
Yeah.
So when you had read from the book, the onion top,
Yep.
I hadn't thought of Taj Mahal look, but
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind
The
of
Taj
neat.
Mahal
I like
look.
that.
All right, so you open the door, and it's more of the top hinge is kind of ruined, so you have to kind of pick up a little bit and just rotate it on the bottom part of the hinge. And the ground floor here has been converted into a makeshift kitchen. The room is filthy. Baskets and old dishware are piled everywhere. Adding to the clutter is a peddler's cart, a chicken coop, a heavy wooden trunk, and a pretty wooden cabinet with flowers painted on its doors. In addition to the clucking of the chickens, you hear some toads croaking. The sweet smell of pastries blends horridly with the stench that burns your nostrils. The awful odor comes out of an open, upright barrel in the center of the room. Warmth issues from a brick oven against one wall, and a crumbling staircase ascends the wall across from it. Shrieks and cackles from somewhere higher up cause the old mill to shake.
So something or someone has been here recently because there's still a fire in the hearth.
And something's lapping in the floors above you.
Did we not hear any of these sounds from outside as we approached?
This is a very, very thick...
Your microphone's...
Is it good now?
Hold on, we got the weird sound. Give it a couple seconds.
Testing.
There we go. All right, so go ahead.
The stonework of this mill is very thick.
Okay. I find it odd, that when we approached, I was not expecting to smell pastries. This is odd to me.
Wait, we've come across pastries before.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the old hag who tried to take the children?
She was selling pastries, right?
Yes.
And there's I do want to remind you that you saw the peddler's cart
You've seen this
floor.
cart before. This lady has a bill with me, and I think it's time it becomes due.
I want to try the joke thing. There are two ladies named Dorothy here, and she's drawn a line between them. She has connected the dots.
Oh, Noctra.
Do you get it? Payload is on my side with jokes.
Noctra.
No?
Leave the
I
jokes
may have to leave you
to
two.
the professionals.
I may have to walk deep into the dark woods by myself.
Well then, I'll try to work on that.
You do that.
And as you're kind of looking around the room, Calvin, it would make the most sense for you to make the perception check.
Oh, well, let's give that a shot. I have a 6 to add to a roll of a 12, so 18.
All right, so you notice all along the room there's bones all along the scattered across the room, and you notice that they are human and typically younger.
Very disturbing that the bones along the room here, you see, along the floor, are apparently smaller bones, like of younger human people.
Noctra draws her sword and says, "This lady has a bill to pay."
I agree with you. I think a paylord is here to help adjust her bill, including gratuity, perhaps.
If you can call her lady. I use the term lady loosely.
You all talk too much. I just like to kill monsters, and she
Let's go.
seems like a monster.
Upstairs. Let's go, Tielen.
Shall we go find her? The sound is
So
coming from
you guys are
up the
done
stairs.
exploring the
No.
bottom floor?
No, was the fire down on the bottom floor?
There's an oven
Oven.
baking that delicious smell you're smelling.
Yeah. I definitely would want to look in the oven.
Uh,
I would like to look in the oven. If it
you look in the oven and there's pastries, all lined up. It's a 4-rack oven, and each rack has a baking sheet full of pastries.
and then there was the container that the horrible smell was coming from.
There is a barrel in the center that has a horrible smell coming from the container.
Can we
There's
check?
also the, a wooden cabinet with flowers painted on its doors.
I
Hold
think
my breath and check out the container.
I think Noctra and Calvin have established they're ready to go kill the old lady, but I think we would hold for Tielen to look around a moment before we storm upstairs.
So you're looking inside the barrel, and it's this like greenish black ichor.
I like to say ichor because it's
Ichor?
icky.
That's fine.
Ichor is correct, but
Okay.
ichor is icky.
Do you want to look in the cabinet before we go upstairs, Tielen?
Don't you think we should?
Or, hey, you do what you do you.
You do you.
Yes, I would cautiously use one hand to open the cabinet while holding my staff up in the other.
Noctra's got her eyes on
Okay.
the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
You open up the cabinet, and inside are some, flour, sugar, some herbs. There's some powdered substance that you're not quite sure of. And you also see 3 small labeled containers that are holding some kind of fluid. The first one's labeled youth. The second one's labeled laughter. And a third one is labeled mother's milk.
Made from real mothers. I don't. I'm sorry. A comedy relief at some point. That was pretty creepy. So, while Noctra has her vision firmly affixed at the top of the stairs, watching for the creepy old lady, Calvin has his good eye watching up as well, and his lazy eye keeping an eye on Tielen.
Yeah, there may be more here, but I think it's time to go upstairs and
All right.
stop whatever we need to stop.
And this is where we will conclude this episode and pick up on the further exploration of Old Bone Grinder in our next episode.
I would say that shit's kind of creepy.
Teeny bit.
Whole hour's kind of creepy.
Well, so like the bones.
Hey, do you know what a skeleton's favorite instrument is? A trombone.
Ba-da-ba-da. Thanks for
Hey,
listening.
We'll all say
Bye, everyone.
bye.
I'm here all week.
Noctra gets a brief ride from a raven. Calvin is freaked out by a doll's head which follows his movements. Tielen is generally creeped out by the day. Arriving at the windmill, they find pastry aroma, the peddler's wagon, and human bones. Thanks for joining us. The preceding podcast was brought to you by One Joe Young. You can find us online at adventuresfromtheshed.com.